bright young faces, because probably at this age I'm used to talking and interacting with very serious glum faces in seminars and such meetings. So it's very heartening that you come here to listen to what we have to tell you from our experience, and I'm sure you will carry forward what we are going to tell you today. The subject is sustainability, and sustainability is the buzzword of today. And why not? Technology has given us many affordable luxuries, but in the bargain, is it at the cost of something which cannot come back? For centuries, man has sustained his existence on air, water, sun, the earth, etc. But today, we are probably destroying the very things which brought us to where we are. While everything which we create must be sustainable, I am going to focus very broadly on buildings. That's a subject in which I have been trained and which I have been practicing for the last almost half a century. Buildings in India constitute consume about 30% of the total energy, 30% of the total water, and generate approximately 40% of the total waste. And this figure is in a developing country. The developed and highly consumerist countries far exceed these figures. By 2050, it is estimated that the built area in India would be 4 times of what the figure is today. Sustainable buildings are therefore the need of the hour. In short, for the young audience who is assembled here, what is a sustainable building? It is a building that provides the specified building performance requirements while minimizing disturbance to and improving the functioning of local, regional and global ecosystems, both during and after its specified service life. A sustainable building optimizes efficiencies in resource management and operational performance and minimizes risk to human health and environment. It meets the need of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own. This last point is very important and which is now gaining popularity, is the recycling and retrofitting of buildings. See, with increased demand for building material creates a major diversified impact on the environment. Excessive extraction of raw materials diminishes non-renewable natural resources. Waste is generated whose disposal may become a problem. Retrofitting of existing buildings can in many cases be cost effective as it reduces operational costs and environmental impacts. Building constructions and operations today have always had a direct impact on the environment, society and the economy. Sustainable design, which we architects are concerned with, therefore seeks to balance these areas by using an integrated approach and to reduce depletion of resources and create a built environment that is livable, comfortable, safe and productive. Buildings use natural resources, as I've just mentioned, and generate waste from occupants, from construction and from subsequent demolition. In the process, they have harmful emissions and change the land function and its ability to absorb and retain water into the ground. The definition of sustainable buildings They change over time, but there are 6 fundamental principles which will always remain. Number 1 is optimizing the site potential. The site of a sustainable building should reduce, control and treat storm water runoff by the natural gradients of the land. Optimizing energy use. Because of ever increasing demand on fossil fuels, the impact of global changes is becoming more evident. Hence, the need to optimize energy use. Protection and conservation of water, which has now assumed dangerous proportions. Since fresh water is becoming an increasingly scarce resource. Optimizing building spaces and material use so that use and reuse of material in the most productive and sustainable way during its entire life cycle is achieved. Improving the indoor air quality. Many times when we talk about sustainability, we forget about the interior part of the building. We are always talking about the nature, the landscape, building from outside. But what is also very important is improving the indoor air quality. Sustainable buildings, they maximize daylighting, provides appropriate ventilation and humidity, and optimize acoustics. Optimizing operations and maintenance. Considering this during the design phase contributes to improved work environment, resulting in higher productivity, reduces energy and reduces costs and prevention of systems failure. There are 2 new terms which have now gained ground in sustainable building, and that is building resiliency. That is the capacity of a building to function under extreme conditions of temperature, natural disaster and climate change. The second point is adaptability. The capacity to use a building for multi-use. That is, probably one concept is using a modular design concept. What then are the objectives and strategies of a sustainable building design? It responds to the climate and the site where they are situated, reduces energy demand, are comfortable to live in, and balance the social, environmental and economic goals. They are affordable, create healthy and safe places to work and play, minimizes the environmental impact. Designs which are now considered to be future ready, because technology is changing every day, and we cannot, every time an architect must be able to assess the future technologies which are going to come in and going to affect his building. So every time we cannot carry out major renovations to accommodate the new technologies which are coming. Massing and orientation, as you all know, they are very important. They reduce the heat for artificial cooling, thus reduces power consumption by designing the overall shape and size, like whether the building should be tall or short, long or thin. And massing is important also in passive heating, cooling and daylighting. Thinner buildings use more of their natural heat to the outside. The next important point is meeting the needs of the present generation without compromising the needs of the future generation. Taking advantage of renewable resources, for example using sunlight through active and passive solar and photovoltaic equipment, and using plants and trees through green roofs, rain gardens and reduction of rainwater runoff. The life cycle assessment is important as it avoids a narrow outlook on the environment, social and economic concerns. Impacts taken into account include embodied energy and operating energy, two very important concepts in sustainable building. Global warming potential, resource use, air and water pollution. Materials efficiency, which I have already shown you. Indoor environmental quality enhancement. This is one of the 5 categories in the LEED standards. You probably know that there are a couple of standards prevalent all over the world for assessing sustainable building. Operations and maintenance optimization is also very important, because no matter how well a building is designed, the operations and maintenance part of it, which comes in later, plays a very important role. Waste reduction in today's context. Design strategies can be classified as passive. It uses ambient resources instead of purchased energy. Active resources, which use purchased energy, and hybrid, which uses some mechanical energy to use ambient energy. Water resources generally refers to potable municipal supply water. Good system design like water efficient fixtures, irrigation and landscaping. Rainwater harvesting and recycling grey water can reduce energy. Lighting and daylighting, which you all know, and probably no need to go into detail about that. There is another concept which you heard, and what is also a green building. A green building is a branch of a sustainable building. It's a term commonly used for structure and application of processes that meet the principles of sustainable design throughout its life cycle, from design to demolition. Within the ambient of green buildings are certain standards, international standards of certification and rating systems for design, construction, operation and maintenance of buildings. I'll just give you a brief list. One is LEED, LEED, is the Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, developed by the United States and the Canadian Green Building Council. There's another standard which is called BREEAM, B-R-E-E-A-M. That is the Building Research Establishment Environmental Assessment Method. It is a British standard. And then the World Green Building Council. In Germany, they have a standard which they call the DNGB. And in Japan, a similar thing is called CASB, C-A-S-B-W. In Spain, it is called VERDE, V-E-R-D-E. And in our country, our very own BIS standards. A new concept which is, what I talk to you about is for the bigger building, multi-story building, multi-family houses, commercial buildings. What probably we had forgotten on down the line is a natural building. That's a concept, to focus on smaller scale building and focus on the use of natural materials available locally. Either the mindset of people, the mindset of the government and the mindset of bodies which matter, they are now changing in a big way because these problems are looming on our head. Many government bodies have now laid down these codes, such as the above, a couple of ones we have told you, so that the local government bodies can incorporate them as bylaws. And once it becomes bylaws, it becomes mandatory for people to follow. Recent years have seen a shift away from a prescriptive approach to a scientific evaluation of social performance through its life cycle assessment. The above, which I have told you, is a very broad overview of the problems and principles and suggestions of a crisis we are facing today and it is intended to be a seed for detailed action. I've just got a couple of images to show you. In many of the projects which I've done, most of them I've selected from near Jaipur, so that you'll be familiar with them. I'll just run through the slides. It won't take more than a minute or two. This will give you an idea of how we've been trying to use sustainable energy. This is a building. There is a group of buildings. There is a group of buildings which is in Jaipur. In this you will find. The central green courtyard. I mean, with this big, huge 12-14 story building, how the green areas within the building create the microclimate. This is another project similar, but it has also the social thing, like the common play area, that little thing you see in blue on the left-hand corner. But they all overlook this microclimate area, which is the central green, which is a very old concept in Indian architecture, Indian individual buildings and groups of buildings, from Fatehpur Sikri to individual buildings in Jaipur, Udaipur, anywhere. This is the use of water to create a favorable climate in a place where the general atmosphere is very hot, dry, and people can use the areas around it. This is another similar sort of building with a lot of greenery to add a lot of color to the landscape. This is a 4-story development, ground plus 3 upper floors, with so much of green area. And you can find this shadow which is on the bottom half. See, this shadow has been created by a building which is just behind it. So, in temperate climate, like say the climate right now, it's neither too hot nor too cold. So, this sort of design, I mean, this shadow falling onto this large green area, people can use this, the lower part which shows this chair. They can also use the sunny area. This is another similar project. This shows you the roads shaded by trees, which creates a cool climate when you get into your house or go out. This is a similar one. These are all about the same. This is the use of water which we use in the multi-story building. The water is the central courtyard, and believe me, when the sun is very hot and you can't probably go out in the sun, this has fountains in it, which is not shown working in this, but it does create a beautiful cool area for these buildings which are all around. This is partly, this shows just how partly shaded and partly open areas have been used, so that it can be used right throughout the year. Shows how part of this open area is shaded and part of it is left open. The shaded areas, these tennis courts which you find and the badminton courts, these have been consciously put in an area which gets shade earlier during the day, so that it's used more by the people. This is another, this is an extension of the last slide. These are similar, partly shaded, partly open green areas. This is a open green between two large blocks of multi-story building, which create again that effect of light, shade and the microclimate. This is the one I was telling you with the fountains on to create a natural, pleasant ambience. These are green areas, again with low-rise buildings. These are also in green. So anyway, I leave this with my friends here. Those of you who are interested can probably see this later. Thank you.